I want to introduce Debbie. Debbie O'Brien is a senior program manager at Microsoft. Debbie has over 10 years of experience in front-end development. Please put your questions in a Slido and help me with a warm welcome of Debbie O'Brien.
Cheers. Hello, hello, everyone. I hope you're all feeling full of energy, because I am. If you're falling asleep, I'm going to wake you up. We're here to talk about testing web applications with Playwright. First of all, hands up here who actually knows what Playwright is. OK, not bad, not bad. Hands up who is actually using Playwright and working with it in production. One person, great. OK, I've got work to do, that's good. I'm going to convert you all to Playwright testers. OK, a little bit about me. So yes, my name is Debbie O'Brien, Senior Program Manager at Microsoft. It's literally my 3rd week, so it's very, very new. So yes, very exciting. International speaker, teacher, YouTuber. I mean, we're all YouTubers these days, aren't we? And an open source contributor. Now, I absolutely love sport. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see pictures of me running, cycling, playing paddle, skiing, doing all sorts of sport. I try to do 3 hours of sport a day. And I encourage you, and I like to say this because people think that because I do so much, I'm literally working 12 hours a day in front of the computer, and I am not. I am doing 3 hours of sport a day, so do not spend 12 hours a day coding. Take some time out in your life and do sport. If you don't like sport, go for walks, do the gardening, do whatever you like, but make sure you have a good work-life balance. I'm a GitHub star and a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, but I'm going to lose that now that I'm an employee, so that's very sad. And also a Google Developer Expert and Media Developer Expert. And if anyone wants to talk to me about those programs, come and see me. I work very closely with Google to try and get more women into tech. I mentor women for the Road to GDE program, and as well, not just getting more women into tech, but getting more women on the stage. So I'm very involved in those programs, so come and see me if you want to be the next speaker on the stage. Also, guys, if you want to be part of the programs too, also come and see me. And yeah, you can follow me at Debs_O'Brien. So let's talk about testing. Now, honest answers. Who of you are actually testing all your applications? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. OK, so this is terrible. This is terrible. But this is the reality, right? I'm not testing all of my applications. And now I have no choice. But yeah, there's many reasons why we're not testing. Testing is hard, right? It's not easy. We've got to learn. We've got to understand how to test. We've got to do all that work. So testing is hard. It takes time to learn. You know, you get a junior developer on your team, and you say, go and write tests. It's just not going to happen. They're not teaching it in the boot camp, so they come in and they have no skills. It takes time to build, right? When you're running those tests in production on CI, it's like, just takes too much time. You want to just merge that pull request and go home, so it's like, it's just not do testing. And time is money, right? And companies are like, you know, it's going to cost us loads of money if you all write tests, so let's just not write tests, and we save loads of money, right? So the solution is, let's just not write tests. And this is a terrible solution. So I'm going to try and fix this. And it's going to be a very difficult job. But this is my job now, to try and fix the testing problem and make sure people are writing tests. So how can we get more developers to write tests? What is the answer? Anyone know the answer? How can we do it? Yes. Keep the what? Give them people more time. Yeah, so it's like you have more time to write tests, so take 2 hours out of your day to dedicate to tests, for example. Yeah? OK. Anyone else know the answer? I love it. He just said, make writing tests easier. And that is what the aim of Playwright is. Try to make writing tests easier. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the tooling and what we're doing. So for those new to Playwright, Playwright testing is reliable end-to-end testing for modern web apps. It can be run on any browser, and all at the same time, right? So you've got WebKit, Chromium, and Firefox. So you can run all the tests across those 3, even if you're on a Windows computer or you're on a Mac computer, it doesn't make a difference. Any platform with one API. And tests are run in full isolation, very fast execution, and it has some powerful tooling. So I'm going to go through the tooling today to give you an idea about what Playwright can do and how you can use it to write tests without you basically having to learn and study for hours and hours and hours. That is the plan. And then I'm going to convince you, and after this, I'm going to say, who's going to go home and write tests, and you're all going to put your hands up. Right? If not, just put your hands up and make me happy, okay? Okay, so getting started with Playwright. Basically, you can run the command npm init playwright at latest. There's a new release coming out every month, so basically, use the at latest, you're going to get the latest version. Or you can create it in a new project, so if you just want to run your tests separate to a project, you haven't got anything already started, then you can just run npm init playwright at latest, new project. I mean, don't call it new project, right? Give it a decent name. And then you've got your tests in a separate project to your actual code, okay? So it's up to you how you want to do things. You can also use the VS Code extension. Anyone using VS Code? Okay, nice, a good few of you. If you're not using VS Code, don't worry. You can still go and use it tomorrow. It's not too late. If you're not using VS Code, I will show you the commands. You can still use the terminal and stuff. But I really like the extension because it's very visual, and it helps also explain things through the slides, as you'll see. So just search in VS Code for that extension. Make sure you get the verified checkbox so that you're getting the right one, because there's a few of them. And once you install it, then you basically just, in the command bar, run install Playwright. And as you can see, you can then decide that you want to run what browsers do you want to install, right? Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, or just maybe you want to test on one. I don't know, that's up to you. And you can also, if you're using GitHub, you can add the GitHub action, and it's going to run all that for you so that you can easily run the tests on CI. So just by installing that, half the work is done for you. It's all set up, and you're ready to go. So once you've installed, what you're going to get is a package JSON. Unless you're already in a project, then it will just merge the script or the command and the dependency into your package JSON. And you'll get a Playwright config file, which is obviously where you will configure everything, right? If you want to later on decide to run it on more browsers or remove those browsers or anything else you want to do. And you'll get a tests folder with an example test file. And as always, as every testing framework does, they give you a to-do app with tests on it, right? So yay, to-do apps. I hate to-do apps. It's like I never build to-do apps. So it is a really, really good example project, and it will show you some stuff. But I'm not going to talk about the example project. I'm going to show you how you can write the tests from scratch. And I do encourage you to check them out later, but I'm not going to talk about the to-do app today. So I'm going to talk about codegen, because codegen is my little friend here. And this is how you can generate tests by recording your actions, which is really, really cool. So this is like, obviously AI kind of stuff. Anyone using GitHub Copilot? Yeah, so not too many, but GitHub Copilot just changed my life. It writes all my code for me. I don't know how to code anymore. I just put something in, press tab, and Copilot does it all for me. And this is kind of similar. It's going to do all your code for you. And I'm going to show you how we use this. So basically, to run it, npx playwright codegen, and what that's going to do, it's going to give you two windows, right? This is my browser window, and then here I've got my tests. And I'm going to play a video here, and I'm going to show you how this is going to be filled out with the code of the test, while I'm basically just clicking and pressing buttons. That basically means that even your mother can write tests. So nobody's got any excuses after this. OK, let me show you. So up in the browser window, I'm going to write the app that I want to test, which is a simple demo application of a shoe store. So we've got a wait page, go to shoe store. And then I'm going to scroll down through the page. And as you can see, it's a beautiful store of shoes. And I'm going to choose the women's shoes. So you can see I'm selecting text equals women. And up here, I've got on my page locator text equals women, and expect the page to have that URL. So then I can decide, right, what do I want to do next? What's the user going to do? What is the action that the user is going to do next? So I can have a look at this kind of product card of shoes, and you can see I could like the text, I could test if the image is there or if the currency is there. But I want to go to the product details page, so I'm going to click that. So now I'm on this page, and I might want to test, right, I want to put this product in a shopping cart. So what am I going to do? I'm going to buy 2 pairs of shoes. I've got a text equals plus with the locator. I'm going to change the size. I'm using the page locator select with the select option of 39. I'm going to choose the blue color, so I've got a test ID of blue in there for that. And I'm going to click the Add to Cart page. So I'm adding that to the cart. And I can see now my cart is now updated with the number 2. My product is in the cart. I'm on that URL now. And I can remove it from the cart, right? Because maybe they changed their mind. And yeah, my demo's terrible, so don't worry about like, little things. But I can see now that my text, there's no products in that cart. And then I can just stop the recording. So now what did that take? 1.5 minutes? I've written a test, right? Very easy. Do you like it? Yeah? Okay, he's a very quiet audience. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to work harder on you. So basically your test is written. Now, obviously it is AI, right? So it's gonna pick up some things that are not perfect, and you'll look at it and go, but that's like not great. Of course, you're gonna have to like make it and improve it and choose a little bit better selector maybe, but this is a great starting point. I mean, you could just run it, right? It's perfect, but you can obviously enhance it and make it better. And if you've got juniors on your team or people new to testing, you come along, you have them write this code, and then you have a senior oversee it and say, right, you can make it better now by choosing this selector, etc. Tests can be written in multiple languages. So any Java developers? I'm not a Java developer, I'm just putting my hand up, but great. Any JavaScript developers? Yeah, so I am a JavaScript, that's cool. Any Python developers? Not too many of you. Ooh. Any C#, .NET developers? Okay, and a few of you as well. So you can just choose whichever language you want. You don't have to just use whatever Playwright wants to use, right? You can use the language you want to use, and those are the ones that are supported. And I'll show you. So here's the test I just wrote, and I'm just going to show you how easily I can turn my code into Java. Any Java developer will understand this code better than me, and you can validate it. I can go to .NET, C# code. It looks C# to me. I can use JavaScript, and that will put it all in JavaScript. So this is just going to auto put that into the right language for you. And it's got PyTest there as well for the Python developers. It's just not in this video because it's a new release. So this is kind of pretty cool, right? And then you can just go back and use the Playwright test if you want to just use what I was using. So that's how easy it is to write Java code without even knowing Java. OK, running your tests. You want to run maybe all your tests. You can run a set of tests. You can run a single test. You can run tests in parallel. And it is super fast. And I'm going to show you how fast it is. So running tests, you can run them in headless using npx playwright test. That's going to just run the test in headless mode. You're not going to see anything. It's just going to give you that green tick, all done. Or you can use it in headed, which you would use npx playwright test -- headed. And it's super fast. It's going to spin up this browser, and it's going to go, and it's be close it. And you're like, whoa, what happened there, right? So be warned, when you run this, it's not going to slowly show you, la, 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 la. No, it's going to, I was like, what's happening? And you can also run your tests from VS Code, which, again, just makes it nice and visual. That's what I'm going to show you. So basically here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that code. I'm going to press a green triangle. And in 2.3 seconds, the test is going to be finished. So that now is the time to keep watching the screen, because if you look away, you're going to miss it. So I've pasted the code. It's .spec.ts file. I save it. On line number 3, a green triangle is going to appear. And then I can click that little green triangle, and that will run the test. So I don't even have to do anything in the terminal. It's just right there for me. And it's going to go through each line of code. Super fast, done. Right? So that's how fast the tests are run. And yeah, did you miss it? Yeah, good. You're all paying attention. I like it. OK, so what about breaking tests, right? Because, got to break tests, right? And again, I'm going to show you in VS Code because there's some really amazing error messaging. Now, there will be error messages in the terminal as well, so that's also fine if you're not using VS Code, but I quite like it in the VS Code. So when we break our tests, because breaking tests is fun, and you should always break your tests so you know that they're working. So I'm going to break some tests here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change on line 8. I'm going to change the text where it says text equals women. And I'm going to put the text equals men. So I'm going to click on the men's navigation. And who thinks that the test will break on line 9? Anyone? Yeah, well, only one person. Are you paying attention or what's happening here? You just don't, you think I'm trying to trick you. I am trying to trick you. So yeah, it's going to basically click on the men's link, and it's going to look for the women's link. So technically, it should say, hey, you clicked on the men's link, and I should go to the men's page, but you're bringing me to the women's page. This is what we're going to see. So let me see, did I click it? Here we go. OK, so here it is. I'm changing the text. I'm going to put men in there. That's the locator I want to find. I'm going to press my little green. I'm going to press that there, and it's going to run through it. And it's going to stop and break at line 8. It doesn't even make it to line 9, right? And I was like, what's going on here when I was actually creating this slide, because I actually did not know what was going on. So what's going on here is that there's a strict mode violation. And basically it's saying that text equals men resolved to 2 elements. We've got the first element in the navigation, the word men, and the second element, the word women, which has the word men inside the word women. So basically, Playwright was like, I'm not really sure which one you want here, and I need to be very, very sure, because otherwise you might get a failing test here, right? If women was the first one, if it wasn't strict mode, it would have found the women one, and test would have been broken, and you would have not known what to do. And you can see here it gives you like, this is what you can do to fix it, right? It's waiting for the selector, and you can choose the nth of 0, so the first element in that navigation. That will fix it, and that will make sure that it's going to get that one. Or you can choose the text equals women, which was the one I was running. So if we put this in here, and we rerun this test, it's now going to fail on line 9, exactly like we expect it to do, because it's going to say, OK, you clicked the men navigation, and I expected it to go to the women, but I received the men link when I clicked. OK? So really nice error messaging in there, and it really does help you see what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about locators, because I just showed you there the strict mode. And a locator is a way to find an element on the page at any moment with built-in auto-weighting and retriability. So I like to think of it as like the pins on Google Maps. It's like, this is, these are like the pins. We're going to drop you, and that's the locator. So locators are created with the page.locator, and inside that you would put a selector with some options. And then it's strict by default. Now you could turn strict off if you want to. I mean, I don't know why you would want to, but you could. And it must be awaited, so you'll start with await, and you'll expect page.locator, and then you can put in what you want. So here I want the header, and I want the navigation that's inside the header. And I want that to have the text. And in here I'm putting an array, right? Because I want to make sure that nobody removes from the navigation. I've got 3 things in the navigation, men, women, and children, so I want to make sure that that exists and is there. A little bit about web-first assertions. So on your locators, you can check to make sure it's checked to be disabled, to be editable, to be empty, to be enabled, to be focused, to be hidden. There's so many. Really cool one from new in Playwright 1.22. Expect the page to have screenshot, or expect the locator to have screenshot. So this is also really cool and very new. If you have been using Playwright and you haven't updated to the latest, that's the newest feature. And let me go through kind of locators here. So in my shoe store, I basically want to check the Gucci shoes, and I want to click on that see product details. And we've seen before, like it's going to strict mode. If I say the text see product details, it'd be like, but there's 4 on this page, or there's more because if I scroll. So it's going to it's going to break, right? So we need to choose the right locators. So we can use CSS selectors, for example. And this is what the AI tool gave us. This is what codegen gave us, which is div nthchild1.card.choosecard.choosecardfooter.button. And that's pretty terrible, right? Because, front-end developers, we like to change CSS stuff all the time. So that's going to change. Your test is going to break. People are going to get angry, and it's going to be like, nightmare. So CSS selectors are not the best of selectors, although sometimes they can be useful. Don't kind of do just something like this. Try and create better selectors. So we can do that by using locators plus has text. So this is case-insensitive substring match and accepts both strings and regexes. So we can say await page.locator, and here I'm putting .shoesCard because I feel that this CSS class is pretty solid and it's not going to change. I could use a test ID as well. I'm just keeping it simple. And I'm expecting it to has text of Gucci. So I'm looking for the shoes card that has a text of Gucci. And then inside that shoes card with the text of Gucci, I'm going to click the locator with the class of button. And then I'm going to click that. Right now, again, I'm using a CSS class here. And you're going to say, why don't you just use button, right? Or an accessible element. But we got designers that make links look like buttons. So this is not a button, it's a link that looks like a button. So it has the class of button, but it's not a button. So sometimes you can use the class like I'm doing here, or you can add a test ID if you want to. So again, this is one way of doing it. Then we've got locators in the shopping cart. I'm buying some shoes here, and I want to select the remove from cart button from one of the products. I don't want to just get the first one. I want to make sure I want to remove the Gucci shoes from the shopping cart. So how I do that is I could use locator plus has with the two dots, okay? So locator plus has. And here I'm using the CSS class of row. Again, I could put a test ID, just keeping it simple. So in every row, I want to say has page locator, and I'm looking for the image with the alt tag of Gucci. Okay, so now I'm also testing accessibility straight out of the box, and I'm making sure my developer actually put an alt tag in there, so that's kind of cool. And then basically I'm using the locator area label equals remove from cart, and then I'm going to click it. Let me walk you through it. So this is the first thing I'm going to look for in every row, and this is what I'm going to find. So Playwright's going to find this, and it's going to say, now I'm just in that box. That's the only thing I care about. The rest of the page does not exist as far as I am right now. And it's going to say, right, now inside this purple box, I want to look for an area label, remove from cart. Again, I could have said a button, because this is an actual button. But I also want to check that I've got area labels and accessibility. So I'm killing two birds with one stone here, and I'm checking for accessibility as well. How it's going to find that button, because there's only one button remove from cart in that row. And that's going to click that, and that's going to work. OK, so that's how that works. Frame locators. Another thing we can test is iframes. If you've ever had to test iframes before, it's normally a nightmare, but it's actually super easy with Playwright. And OK, this is just a video of me speaking at another conference, but imagine it was a video of shoes or something, right? And you can see in the code I've put iframe equals, so you can actually see that it is an iframe. It's coming from YouTube. And I might want to, I don't know, check that the video works, check that the play button, the pause button, etc. works. So this is how I would do that. And it auto-waits iframes to appear, right? So you don't have to worry about it's got to go to Google, YouTube, get all that stuff, whatever. It's going to wait for it, and when it's on the page, it will then run the tests without you having to write timeouts and all the set timeout and all that kind of stuff. So I've just put a const of pause button, and I'm saying pause button equals page.frame locator, and I'm putting iframe. I only have one iframe on the page, so this will work. But if you have more than one, you might say get the first one or the second one, or you could figure out a way of which one you want to test. And then I'm checking for the area label equals pause, because YouTube actually uses area labels, so that's quite nice and easy to check for. And then I will just await pause button and click, and then I can keep testing and making sure that other buttons work and people have a title in there, and et cetera, et cetera. So running code, running debug mode, right? So we always get problems in testing. We can't figure out what's going on. When we want to debug something, we can run mpx playwright test --debug. So for those that love the terminal or are not using VS Code, this is your thing. And I'm going to show you in VS Code. So basically, right here in VS Code, we can right-click. It's really small. It doesn't make it any bigger, but it's really small. A little menu is going to come up, and I'm just going to add a breakpoint there. So I'll click add a breakpoint, and then on the green arrow, I'm going to right-click, and it will say run in debug mode. So this is what it does. So first, I'm going to break the test, right? Because I want it to actually have something to break. So I put text equals men. I've put my little red dot. I'm going to run in debug test, and it's going to run that test, and it's going to stop on that breakpoint. And what it's going to do now is going to go, OK, this is my breakpoint. And it's going to spin up my browser. And it's going to show me, you have text equals men. And there's also a problem here, because women is also selected. So this is not going to work. And just to show you, I could write something like text equals hello, just to kind of show you that it's not going to select anything, right? Because I have no hello on the page. So it's like, don't know what you wanted me to do here. And if we want to put, we could put text equals children. And we've got text equals children there. So we can kind of live play around with things and live debug, which is really fun and interesting. OK, now, what about showing reports, right? We've written all our tests. Our tests are looking pretty good. We're pretty happy. Or maybe they're not, and we just want to like figure out what's going on. And that's when we can look at the reports. npx playwright show-report. And this is going to give us a report. And I'm running my test only in Chromium, just because I'm creating a demo. But if you had WebKit and Firefox, that would show up there as a label as well. And then you can run through each of those, and you can open them up more, and you can see exactly what was happening, and you can go to the whole report of that test or every test. And then there's trace files. OK, so if we want to record a trace for each test, we can, normally it's kind of on if you have like broken tests, right? But I like to put it on all the time so I can see even the ones that are passing, and I want to play around with it because it's a cool tool, and also for demos. So if you do want the traces to be on, in the config, use, and just put trace on. And then this is always going to be on. So let me show you what this does. Now when I go to my report, at the very bottom, I'm going to get this lovely image, and I'm going to get trace zip. And this is a zip file that I can download and then open up and play around with, or I can just click, and it's going to open it up. Now this is going to show, this is what it shows you, right? It's just kind of really cool, and you're like, whoa, what is this? So at the very top is a timeline, right? Like in the browser tools. You can like scroll along that timeline. I'll show you a video in a second. And then you've got the actions and the metadata here. In the middle, you've got the action, so what you clicked before what the page was like and after what the page was like. So you can really see where you went wrong or what's going on in your test. And then you've got the call, so which locator you clicked, for example. The console, which will also show you errors in the console. The network, any network requests. And the source, the code that you wrote or that codegen wrote to create that test. Now this is a PWA that is on your machine only. It's completely local to you. It's not up in the cloud. Nobody can see this unless you take that zip file, send it to your PM, and say, here, check out this. But it's not in the cloud, so it's completely your code and safe and just running on your local host. So this is a video of it in action. And I'll walk you through it. Let me see, is it playing? There we go. So on the one that I showed you earlier, you can just kind of go through every single step that I made for this test to really kind of see it in slow motion and at your own pace. And this really helps with debugging as well. I really like this for seeing what's going on. And I can scroll along with the timeline. The different colors show you the different things, like green is a click, red is select. And you can see at each timeline, when the page loads, how long things took, what's happening at every given moment, which is kind of cool. And then in the middle, you're going to see the action. This is going to have the red button on women, and you're going to go before. That was the page before, and this is the page after. So you can see it went to the right page. And you can see I've got the selector text equals women, and strict mode is on. And I can see the test log, what it was doing, attempting to click. I have no console error messages, so that's cool. All my network requests for all my images, and the source of the test itself. So yeah, this is a really, really cool tool and makes it kind of much more fun and nice to kind of play around with your tests. And the great thing about what you just saw is that this is a DOM snapshot. So not an image snapshot, but it's an actual DOM snapshot. So you can interact with the DOM, you can inspect it, and you can play around with it, which is even more fun. So just to show you what I mean, so in the middle here, I'm going to go back to text equals women. So that's my DOM snapshot. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. And I can interact with this. And just to show you, right, it's the web page. OK, looks like an image. OK, fair enough. I'm going to click on children. So I'm going to show you that it's going to new root. I'm going to click on dark mode, so you can see that now I've got dark mode. And I can inspect this. So now I've got browser tools inside browser tools, which is kind of funky. And I can select elements and really kind of play around and see what's going on with my code and with my tests at all times. So that's cool. So basically, Playwright test. VS Code extension, I encourage you to use it. If you're not a VS Code user, you can be one tomorrow. No, don't worry. You can still use your own favorite editor. Everything works whether you're using the VS Code extension or not, so don't worry about that. Codegen is absolutely amazing for auto-generating your tests. You don't have to use it if you're not the type that likes clicking buttons and you want to physically write code, especially the back-end developers. They don't like graphical UI stuff. We front-end people love that stuff. Just write all your code as normal. You don't have to use the generator. Completely up to you, but I find it very useful, especially for new people coming on board. You can run your code in debug mode, like I showed you. We've got locators and frame locators for testing iframes. And then you can show the reports. You can walk through step by step. And then you can show the trace files, which is my favorite tool, because it just really shows you what's going on and allows you to really... I've debugged so many of my tests using that. It's really, really helpful. It's got auto-wait built in for all actions, so you don't need to write any set time calls ever. It will always wait for everything to appear on the page. The tests run in parallel, which means it's super fast, and it's got multiple browsers and devices, so you can run it, as I mentioned before, in Chromium, on WebKit, on Firefox, and it's also, you can run it on mobile and desktop, etc. So it also intercepts requests, and it follows all redirects. It bypasses cores, so yes, no cores problems. And it manages all your cookies for you as well. So yes, I know, your life is finally, everything is going to work out, right? Something else, especially for the front-end developers out there, we now have component testing that is in preview. So it is, we might break things, we might improve things, it's in preview. But it is very cool and is working, so you can test your components in isolation. And what you will do is basically run a test that's going to mount the component. You can see that component just in a browser context instance with nothing, no header, no footer, just the component. And you can test that component. Maybe you want to test the product card and make sure it has a button, make sure it has an image, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of similar to unit testing your component, but end-to-end testing it. And it works for Vue, React, and Svelte right now. So yeah, I do encourage you to check it out and give us feedback as well. And yeah, I'm coming to an end, but I want to know, are you ready to Playwright? Who here is now going to go home and use Playwright? Excellent, excellent. This is good, this is good. I highly encourage you to check it out. Playwright is fully open source. Right? I have been working with open source for many years, and I'm really excited to be part and work with this team and continue working in open source. It is sponsored or backed by Microsoft, but that just means Microsoft gives us loads of money to be able to create a great tool that you can use for free, which is great. So yeah, the Playwright team originally came from Puppeteer. Any of you who know Puppeteer, that's the team that built Puppeteer, and then Playwright is built kind of on a, not on top of Puppeteer, but cloned from Puppeteer, which has basically meant it's been able to evolve super fast because the Puppeteer team are building Playwright, which is kind of like, they know their stuff. So yeah, really exciting project to be on. I encourage you to check it out. And like I said, it's open source on GitHub. Make sure you star the project because we love GitHub stars. And any issues you have, just like, like any open source project, just submit issues. The team work on things based on what you want, what you as a community want. So if you're looking for a feature and only one person is looking for it, we're probably not going to do it. But if all of you, and it's got 100 upvotes, then that's going to be prioritized above other things. So just tell us what you want, what you need, and the team is there. To check out more, you've got the docs, playwright.dev. We've got a YouTube channel. There's not enough YouTube videos on there, but that's my job, so I'm going to be putting loads of YouTube videos up on there, so you can check out the release videos from the past, which are great. We've got a Twitter account, so follow us on Twitter, where we will be tweeting more, I promise. And we have a Playwright Slack, so you can go in there if you do have any kind of hardcore questions and want the team to answer it, then that's the place to go, because I won't know the answer to the hardcore stuff just yet. Give me time. But yeah, do use the Slack channel. And my website is debbie.code, so you can follow all my stuff there. If you have any questions and really just want to, check out or ask me anything, my email is debbieobrien@microsoft.com, so feel free to send me an email and say, hey, we've got this problem, we'd like to speak to someone or whatever. Totally open for communicating with all of you. And you can follow me on Twitter, Debs_O'Brien, and thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thanks.
Maybe let's see if there is any kind of question from the audience.
If you have any questions or if there's any on Slido. Also, if there's none of the, there is some questions. Oh my God.
There is one really popular.
Oh my God.
Is Playwright better than Cypress?
Is Playwright better than Cypress? I work for Playwright, so I'm going to say yes, right? But if you also say, is Taekwondo better than karate? I will say yes, because I do Taekwondo. So again, use whatever you prefer. Is it a competitor to Cypress? Yes. Does Cypress do things better than Playwright? Yes. Do Playwright do things better than Cypress? Yes. Test it out, play around with it, and you decide what you think is best.
Okay. Second one is it possible to generate a trace file even in headless mode?
Yeah, I think it was in headless mode when it was doing the trace files. So I think.
Okay.
Unless I'm not understanding, but yeah.
Okay. Maybe tomorrow
Sure.
would be good. Have you compared it with Selenium? These two are very similar in API specs.
So we have a lot of people coming from the Selenium world because Selenium just let us all down, didn't they? Sorry. So yes, but I've never used Selenium, so I cannot compare. I have used Cypress, so I could compare that more, but Selenium is something I haven't used, so I'm not going to go into that. But we are seeing a lot of people coming from Selenium into using Playwright, which means I think it's solving all the problems that they had and we're trying to do with Selenium. But again, that's just what I know.
Great. How it handles waiting? You are saying it operates in DOM, but for Angular apps, for example, it may happen that DOM is in ready state, but page is not interactable.
Yeah, so it's going to wait for those to come. So Playwright will wait. I mean, obviously, if, I don't know, it's taking 20 seconds to try and get something from the DOM, then you have a problem with your front end anyway, so that's going to not work, so that's probably a good thing. But yes, it will wait for things to load, like the iframes, the buttons, everything. So you shouldn't have a problem. You can also, there's also other things that you can do, like make it slower and all that stuff, but automatically out of the box, should be fine.
Debbie, we only have a space for one. Maybe later on they can come to you and speak to you personally.
Yeah, and I have stickers as well, so if you come to me outside, I can give you Playwright stickers that you can put on your computer.
So the last one, just choose one.
Which one? I want to choose.
Yes, 3 of them has 4.
Can I move, I'm just picking in the middle, so I don't know if this is a good one or not. Can I move from Selenium plus Java automation for framework to Playwright? Yes, you can, and we do have, and again, I'm not a Java person, but we have Java ARM or that kind of stuff that Java people need, Ubuntu ARMs and that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, we have all that stuff under control. Again, it's being improved daily and daily, so if you are a Java developer and you have something, or you need something that we don't have, go into GitHub, create an issue, get all your friends to upvote it, and then the team will work on that.
Debbie,
Yes.
Apart from all the organizer of Craft, we want to thank you, Debbie, for your wonderful talk at Craft.
Thank you.
So
I do love
please
wine.
help me to organize a pause to Debbie.
Thank you.